Yo, what's up? Dr. Swole here, MD bodybuilder, back with another episode on my Ask the Expert series. Today, I'm joined by Tobias Schuler. He is a WNBF pro men's physique athlete and science-based bodybuilding coach. He coaches out of Calgary. He is a certified personal trainer. In terms of his bodybuilding accomplishments, he won his pro card in the WNBF in men's physique in 2018 and recently placed second in his pro men's physique show in Edmonton. Today we're going to talk about Toby's prep from 2018. I met Toby at our WNBF Vancouver show where he won his pro card, and I thought he was a really cool guy and just followed him on Instagram and really liked sort of his coaching style and his the way he thinks through things. So wanted to bring you on for the interview. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So just bringing things back to your prep, we'll see how much you can remember. But yeah, so this was back in May of 2018. And I guess just starting off, how long was your prep?
I was I was working with Leo King from King's Fitness as my coach. So I think I don't know. We kind of talked about it prior. I think in like December, and just to give ourselves enough time, so that you're not like rushing to the finish line. I think we started basically at the beginning of January, so roughly 5 months. And I was gonna say I did have a second show in Calgary at the end of May, so I guess I kind of had a little bit of extra time for that one.
And then how much weight did you lose? Like, what was your starting and ending weight?
I actually checked some notes because you gave me a heads up that you might ask me about this. So I was looking at some numbers. Weight, I started at, I think, 170, 175. And then we ended up around 160 or a little bit below, I think, even by like the end of the second show. Because I actually whittled down a little bit further in the 3 weeks between the two shows. So yeah, I think I ended up a little bit below like 158 or something like that, 15-ish pounds.
So you actually started off very lean. Like, did you do any maneuvering sort of in the pre-prep period, like a mini cut or something to get into the zone?
Funny enough, I was bulking prior because I'm kind of naturally sit a bit leaner anyways. Like my body composition is relatively good most of the time, even when I'm kind of eating like an asshole. So so I was actually like the prep was kind of just eat as much as possible to bring your metabolism up so that you actually have a place to cut from. So yeah, not much there other than just, trying to, put a lot of calories in the body and work out heavy. So we started with as much mass as possible.
Yeah. So yeah, starting off, what were your macros and calories starting prep?
And actually, I checked these as well. So it was 250 protein. It was roughly 4,000 calories that I was eating right at the beginning. Wow. It was a lot. It was hard. It was a chore. Like 250 protein, 450 carbs, and roughly 130 for fat. So kind of rounded out to like 39.95 or something like that. So those were starting macros. Quite a bit of food.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then where did you land at the end?
That actually, I forgot to memorize those numbers. I think it was around like 2,600 calories. I think protein stayed relatively high at around 200, and then carbs were around 200 as well. And then we brought the fats like pretty low down to about 50 or 40 towards the end. So most of the calories came out of the fat, right? Don't really need as much of those.
Yeah. That's still pretty generous though.
Yeah, I mean the funny thing is like I finished my prep at like 25, never going below 2500, which is actually pretty high.
Yeah.
But starting at 4000, like it was a 1500 calorie cut over the course of the, 4 or 5 months. So still a big chunk, like, technically like a 60% or so drop calories.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember around when you were making those macro drops? Did it sort of happen evenly throughout?
Yeah, it was, I mean, it was slightly based on weight. We used weight as kind of a general tool to measure, dropping. Looking at roughly like I think a pound or two a week. Never more than two.
Yeah.
It was like roughly like a percent of body weight
Mm.
per week max. So I think the calories dropped every week or two, um, just a little bit. Like it might be, 10 grams of fat there, or 10, 20 grams of carbs here and there. So it was
Oh,
never like huge drops. It was always like just a couple, like 100 or 200 calories.
oh, that's
Yeah.
really interesting. So that's you had very frequent drops with more moderate like
Yeah.
increments.
Yeah, you bet. It was never like a severe like 3, 4, or 500 calorie drop. I think just in the pursuit of retaining as much muscle as possible, it was try not to do anything drastic, no nothing too crazy drops. Yeah. And that way you're not getting slammed like with a drop of energy or anything like that. So you're not like feeling the cut each time you get one because it's just so
Hmm.
gradual and small. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's something I applied with my clients as well. I kind of do it the same way.
Hmm.
And yeah, I've had people be like, yeah, I don't really even notice much of a difference, but like there's obviously something happening and my body composition's changing. It's just so small and gradual.
And then, speaking of metabolism, did you do anything like refeeds?
Little bit, yeah. I mean, at the beginning, it wasn't super necessary, so I was
Yeah.
eating so much. So it was more towards that last month or two where calories did start to get a bit lower, and you could feel it. So a lot of it was like my coach would ask, like, how's your energy, that kind of stuff. And if the energy was affected or the workouts were starting to dwindle a little bit, he could tell that maybe my glycogen was a bit low or just in general, my body needed a break.
Hmm.
Or obviously if the progress starts to slow and stuff, if we didn't notice as big of a change from, I don't know, week 10 to week 11 or something, then yeah, he would do a refeed and it would be pretty moderate. Like he was mainly carbs, like so it would just be like, let's say I was eating 200 grams of carbs a day, it would just be double that, so it'd be 400 grams of carbs
Hmm.
on one evening, or one day, so to speak. But fats and protein wouldn't change. It would
Hmm.
just be a big carb influx.
Yeah, and it would just be sort of one day, and then you would feel better after
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, once again, like it wasn't super drastic, so I didn't like notice a huge difference, but definitely in the workouts, more energy, a bit more strength, and that would kind of last the whole next week or even two,
Hmm.
or you kind of get into that like kind of fatigued state again where you're basically just running low on fuel.
Yeah, interesting. That's I actually like that method. It sounds very auto-regulated. Hey, like it was based sort of on your training performance, your how you were looking, things like
Yeah,
that.
just on an individual level in a way, right? Because everyone will respond differently to a cut. So some people might need it 2 times a week, whereas some people need it 2 times a month. So all kind of depends on how your body is cycling through that energy and the stored glycogen.
Hmm. Did you ever take a diet break?
No, no breaks.
Mhm. I mean,
No,
you didn't
I
have that much weight to lose
no,
either.
exactly. Like once, yeah, I was sitting pretty lean at the beginning. But I do know of people that had those, especially like some of the like female competitors I know, uh, they're dropping like 30 pounds or sometimes more in a 5 or 6 month prep. And so, I mean, or some of them prep for like an entire year, right? And they're losing like more than 40 or 50 pounds even. So at that point, when your head has to be in it for that long or for
Mhm.
that big of a change, I definitely see a benefit to like a full, week off of the diet. Obviously, you're not going to go crazy, but
Mhm.
just to, eat maybe intuitively or just don't track everything. Just kind of relax for a bit because it can definitely get rough on the brain,
Yeah.
on the mentality, right? To be on it for that long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. And then, were you doing cardio at all?
no cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it was nice, I have to say. I mean, I think he threw in like for the last like 2 or 3 weeks, I had a couple half-hour sessions or something just to kind of add a little bit of a extra expenditure. Because obviously your body starts to really get adapted to the caloric deficit by the end, right? Like
Yeah.
by month 4, month 5, yeah, it's not as effective. So whatever you can do to get that little extra caloric expenditure, or caloric deficit, sorry, is really good. But yeah, not much cardio at all. We tend to just rather take it from the calories because that's something that's measurable
Mhm.
versus like, to say, oh, I burned 400 calories doing cardio, is how accurate is that really? Tough to say, right? Because, an hour of cardio one day might burn X amount of calories and it might burn half the amount of calories the next day just based on like effort level or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, the body's weird, right? So
Yeah.
really rely on cardio as well as you could like the numbers from calories and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I totally agree. Yeah. I've never really liked bringing cardio. At least say I like the idea of saving it sort of as an ace card till the
there you
end
go.
when you
Yeah,
really need it, because I feel that humans are such good endurance athletes, and
yeah,
if you get someone who say like walking on the treadmill for an hour, they're going to get used to that real quick,
yeah,
and yeah, you just get efficient at it.
absolutely. Couldn't
Mm.
agree more. At a certain point, you're not doing much anymore. Your body's just used to it. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good to keep it for the end. Like if you, as you said, like an ace card, if you need to kind of squeeze out that last little bit of body fat or something, and you haven't done cardio your entire prep, and then you bring it in the last, 3 4 weeks, it can actually make a pretty big impact. So yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
good to good to have it on hand.
Did you have any plateaus at all in prep? It sounds like it went
Um,
pretty smoothly.
yeah, no, weirdly enough, not really. Yeah, not funny enough, like not even my strength or my like workouts really plateaued much.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, the progress was actually pretty linear. Obviously, like day to day, my weight would kind of be like up, down, up, down, up, down, but
Hmm.
weekly trends were pretty consistently down. So we didn't really have too much. I think towards the end, like I may have roughly plateaued for like the last couple weeks or something, where you're just kind of at that, you're at the rope's end, so to speak, and
Yeah.
nothing's moving at that point. So you're just like, okay, guess we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously that only applies if you've like hit your target of, whether it's body composition or goal weight or whatever it is. So
Hmm.
um yeah, I feel like refeeds are one of those things that can kind of help those plateaus as well, or diet breaks.
Hmm.
Um, if that is an issue, like you hit a zone where you're just not budging, those can definitely be something to utilize for that.
Hmm. How did this prep compare to your previous preps? Like, did you change anything for this one?
So yeah, it was actually a huge change. So my girlfriend and I have competed together the first 2 years, and then she did a solo prep this past year.
Hmm.
But for our very first year, we actually signed up with a coach. It was a lady that I knew, that I'd worked with at a gym. She's an IFBB pro,
Hmm.
so she coached a lot differently. She's used to non-natural athletes.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it was different. It was very old school. Like we had like a pretty restrictive diet. It wasn't like flexible dieting or anything. It was an actual meal plan, like eat this, eat this, eat this, eat this
Hmm.
specifically, kind of routine day in, day out, same foods. Um, and The workouts were also a lot different just because they were not necessarily personalized for us
Mm.
specifically. So yeah, it was different. Like we still ended up looking pretty good, and I think I got third in the Calgary show that year. So it was 2017. Um, so like not bad first show and all. Like I was pretty happy, but it was pretty intense and like not super fun, I would say, being on a restricted plan
Yeah.
versus yeah, like going we started working with Leo for 2017, and it was so much better. Like flexible dieting was a godsend. We're like, what?
Yeah.
We get to eat everything. Yeah, it was pretty sweet. So yeah, we noticed like we felt better on that type of a diet, like both mentally and physically. And I think personally, we maintained more muscle mass not being on a restricted diet versus um, like a flexible one. So we ended up looking better on stage and like bigger, leaner, everything.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I think it was similar for me. I mean, my last prep, I was coached by an IFBB pro and the full meal plan thing, and
yeah,
I felt I was still like a really useful experience, sort of
yeah,
being put on a meal plan for the first time, I guess, and just sort of understanding sort of how to set up regular meals,
yeah.
looking at what you're eating, that kind of thing. And then sort of I've just been moving away from it and starting to make substitutions and learning how to swap things in and out more intuitively.
Yeah.
But there's definitely merits to both approaches, I guess. And
Totally, absolutely. There absolutely like, and it does work for like it works. Like, it'll still get you from point A to point B. It's more a matter of some people mentally would respond better to like a strict meal plan because it's like
yeah,
if you leave it up to me, like I'm gonna fuck it up basically.
yeah,
Versus
exactly.
right, versus some people like they'll go bananas eating the same stuff every day, like they need the variations.
Hmm.
So once again, I think that's one of those like individual things. If yeah, the client or obviously yourself, if you're jiving with one way or the other and it works for you, then there's no right or wrong way. It's just different strokes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What did your training look like? What sort of your
Um,
split?
so yeah, that
And
actually changed. I was going to mention that with your last question, the training changed quite a bit as well. Like
mhm,
we did a lot more strength-based movements in our most recent prep with Leo. So
mhm,
that was kind of cool. It was more of like an integrative like powerlifting and bodybuilding. So kind of one of those like power building programs where you lift heavy, but you also do some higher rep stuff as well.
mhm,
Versus kind of like a strict bodybuilding program where you're not doing too much heavy stuff.
mhm,
So yeah, I mean, program was uh, mine was a 5-day split, and I think it went kind of like upper body push pull strength, so kind of a bit more heavier stuff, push pull, so your whole upper body, and then a lower body push pull strength, and then it was a push upper body volume, pull upper body volume, and then another lower body day, but also volume. So it's kind of like 2 strength days covering the whole body, upper and
mhm.
lower, and then 3 volume days, one push, one pull, and then a lower body.
Mhm.
That makes
Yeah.
sense?
Oh yeah. It's I remember talking to you in prep and hearing that like your strength had been continuing to like improve throughout prep.
Yeah, yeah. I think I managed to somehow ride that all the
Yeah.
way through to the end. Um, I guess I did notice some influence of just the lower calories towards like I think the last 3-4 weeks, like right leading up to, and that was a point where I think that my coach had mentioned anyways that I should be lowering my volume, lowering my weights a little bit just to reduce the risk of injury, just because the recovery won't be as good with the lower calories, right? Like you sometimes you even notice like a cut on your hand won't heal as well as it did like 3-4 months ago, kind of thing. So but
Were you
yeah, no,
cutting your hand all the time, man?
well, no.
I'm kidding.
just
It's been 2 months.
just run with scissors a lot, okay? No. Yeah, but yeah, no. So there's quite a few movements that were like pretty heavy, like 4 to 6 reps or so, and then still a good handful of like 8 to 12s, 12, 15, even up to like 20 reps, just to utilize all the rep ranges and all the different muscle fibers and stuff.
So if you remember, how much did your strength and your volume go down like in those last 2 weeks?
Let me think. I think just by like maybe a set or two on the big compound lifts. So it was mainly on like squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press. You might, yeah, it probably only went down like a set or two. So and I wasn't even doing that crazy of volume. So I think I was doing max like 5 or 6 sets on some of those exercises. So it might have went down to like 3 or 4. Yeah, nothing crazy. Not compared to like my off season where I'm doing like 10 sets of squats or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That's a
you
whole
train
different
you have
scenario.
a pretty intense program.
Yeah. Sometimes a little too intense.
Yeah.
Seem to be in and out of injuries on occasion.
Oh yeah, that happens. um, and was there anything you'd wish you'd done differently?
Think, you know what? If anything, maybe a slightly longer prep, because
Okay.
I mean, like rather than just 5 months, give yourself 6 months kind of thing, or instead of 4, give myself 5. I can't remember the exact days. So yeah, I mean, the longer the better is the way I kind of see it, because it's not a matter of like how fast you should cut. It's more about the length, because at the end of the day, like from all the research I read, the optimal rate of loss is like max 1% of your total body weight a week. Ideally 0.5%. So like you're looking at 0.5% of your body weight and you weigh, let's say, 175 pounds, right? Like what is that, like point 0.7
Yeah, something like that.
or like 0.8 pounds or something. Like it's not a lot of weight. So as much time as you can give yourself to actually lose enough weight to be super shredded, the more time you give yourself, the better you're gonna look. So yeah, I think that was it. I mean, other than that, I felt pretty happy with how we did it. So props to Leo King.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he
awesome.
put me through a really good prep. So yeah,
Mhm.
it was good.
And then in terms of your diet, what were your favorite low-calorie meals or snacks?
Oh yeah, my girlfriend's like a wizard at creating low
Yeah, I
cal
see the
snacks. So,
Instagram.
yeah, exactly. She's got like all sorts of cakes and pancakes and yeah, donuts. But personally, I would say my favorite, um, there's these little coconut ice cream sandwiches. I think the brand's like So Delicious or
Hmm,
something like that. I wasn't having any dairy at the time because dairy was messing up my guts.
okay.
So I was eating like the coconut ice cream sandwiches. So they came in kind of these like little minis. So
Yeah.
that was super nice. I could fit like 1 or 2 of them in like every day. So like I'm eating ice cream sandwiches during prep. I'm good with
Yeah.
that.
Oh, amazing.
um, I don't know. I'm a big PB&J guy as well, so I could usually fit in a PB&J, but sometimes the fats are a little too high on that, so
Yeah.
uh, not a daily. But I don't know. I don't actually have too crazy of a sweet tooth, so it was more the stuff that I was really craving was like the potato chips or like the
Oh,
salty stuff. And you definitely can't afford to eat too many potato chips in prep.
yeah. Yeah. Did
Little
you
too
have
high.
did you have any sort of like calorie-free hacks, like using, I don't know, drinking a lot of Diet Pop or like Walden Farms?
Oh, you know
I
what we did? couple things we did. We got into the diet root beer for a little while,
Oh yeah.
especially the
A&W.
A&W root beer. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But we were like, okay, maybe it's not like a good habit to start because we were just like buying 2 liters and just crushing them. We're like, this is probably not the best habit. So we started drinking the bubbly, which is just
Okay.
like totally calorie free. It's just sparkling water with like a hint of flavors.
Mhm.
So that was really good, and it's definitely not bad for you by any means. Um, we we definitely there was Walden Farms and there's this other brand. I can't remember the brand now, but yeah, there's a couple calorie free companies that like supplement stores carry. You can get
Mhm.
like maple syrup. You can get we got like what did we get like a chocolate sauce type thing. Yeah, yeah, but mainly maple syrup, so we could eat like protein pancakes or something on Saturdays or on Sundays, and yeah, that's what's up. Some egg whites, some pancake mix,
Yeah.
some
What
syrup.
was what was your go-to when you were really hungry and didn't have many macros left?
Um, you know what? Sometimes it was just a straight chicken breast. If
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all I had left.
Yeah.
Some volume foods because like volume foods are really important during prep, right? Like
Exactly.
strawberries are a huge one because you could eat
Okay.
like gigantic bowl of strawberries, and it's because they're so voluminous, like there's not
Yeah.
actually that much there.
Oh nice.
Same thing with like potatoes. They're actually
Mm.
pretty low calorie for how much actual like food you get. So,
Mhm.
have you ever heard of a thing called an active fry?
No.
It's like an
Oh,
air
okay.
fryer.
Yeah, it's like okay, air fryer, yeah.
Yeah, so you can make like fries. You can make technically you can make like thick cut chips or something, or hash browns or something like that, with just like a tablespoon of oil. So you got like max 15 grams of fat in
Yeah.
like whole thing of fries.
Nice.
Yeah, those were pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of getting an air fryer myself actually. Like we were making potato wedges with my friends and it's amazing. Tastes
It's pretty
great.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were pretty stoked on it. We've been using it like almost every
Yeah.
day.
It's funny because you'd always think that potatoes are like a weight gainer type of food, but when you actually look at it, they're actually very high volume, like
they're
compared to
they're
something like
pretty.
rice. Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, like compared to bread or rice or something, like they're
Mhm.
actually pretty like low density in terms of calories for sure. Yeah, something people don't think about. They
Yeah.
think, so those probably make you fat. Unless they're
Yeah.
potato chips.
Yeah, I think it was I was bulking once and I was trying to follow this meal plan that had like a bunch of potatoes and I like couldn't do it because I was just trying to stuff in too much.
Just eat way too many. Yeah. Yeah. No, you'll get full way too quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you have any crazy prep stories?
I mean, yeah, I would say that it's kind of crazy, but it's more like scary than anything.
Yeah.
Because when I know throughout my prep, there was quite a few moments where I would kind of leave the stove on because
Oh shit.
because of diet brain. So like there's probably at least like probably more than I even know of, but like at least like 4 or 5 times that I remember where my girlfriend's like, dude, you left the stove on again. Like, you're gonna burn the fucking house down. And
Fuck
it's
no.
just like when you're on low cal, sometimes you forget about little things like, flipping that switch. And so
Yeah.
those little things, nothing crazy, but just something that could have turned into something crazy pretty quick.
Yeah. Wow. How's your prep? On fire.
Yeah, exactly. Fire emoji. Fire emoji.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
The
Mm.
the one exciting thing is getting some like protein donut treats from
Oh
this
yeah.
guy in Calgary that he makes like macro friendly protein donuts.
Nice.
You can pimp them out and make them fit your prep.
Mm.
So that's always a nice treat if you're able to make it fit.
Just to wrap up, where can people find you?
So mainly just social media, so Facebook or Instagram, Tobias Fit on Instagram, and just my full name, uh, Tobias Schuler. I did just I kind of went independent here recently with my company Strive Athletics.
Mm.
So yeah, if you search that, you can find me as well. I'm slowly kind of building up the brand, so I'll hopefully get a bit more of a presence with that brand, with that name online, and I'll probably start putting out a bit of swag as well. Get some t-shirts, mainly for like myself and my clients or my athletes and stuff, just to kind of give them something to represent. But yeah, that's the brand I'm slowly building up. So yeah,
Sweet. Yeah. And
yes
yeah,
sir.
I think Toby's a great science-based coach. So if anyone needs online coaching, hit him up and I will put those links in the show notes below.
That's all for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, and leave me a comment below. Let me know if you're finding these interviews helpful on Ask the Expert. See you next time.